this is John Kraft, the Regional Executive Director of the Rocky Mountain Church Network. And we are really looking forward to gathering together September 12th and 13th up at the YMCA of the Rockies at Estes Park as we gather together for our annual ministry leadership retreat, as we have pastors and ministry leaders from all over our region gathering together. One thing I'm really excited for is our keynote speakers, Bob and Janet Lehman. I've known Bob and Janet for a long, long time. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but they're going to share what it means to lead ourselves, to lead our families, and lead our ministries as we move post-COVID. I think Bob has some really great experience and some great insights as to how we do those three things. And so he and I have a conversation about some of the conversations and discussions he's been having with ministry leaders across the country and even around the world, what we've all faced together throughout COVID and how we can have hope for ministry in the future. So I hope you enjoy our conversation. Hey, Bob, thanks for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you be our speaker, to have you and Janet come and share with our ministry leaders up at Estes Park.
Oh, we're so excited. Estes Park is one of our favorite places. As you know, I went to Denver Seminary a bunch of years ago, and so Colorado is really close to our heart. So thanks, John.
Oh, you're welcome. And, you know, speaking of a bunch of months ago or a bunch of years ago, I don't know if you realize this, but you are like one of the people who's kind of in my regular orbit who I've known for the longest. Because
that's because I'm the oldest.
No, because I was like super young when we first met. You know, I think I was a sophomore in college. So I was 18.
Wow.
Because I was young for being a sophomore. And so that was like 5 years ago or something like that. I mean,
yeah, right.
But, you know, for me, you've been a professor. You've been my pastor for a while. You know, we attended Desert Sun when we were in college for a little bit. And you've been a good friend and a fabulous example in ministry. And so I'm really thrilled that you're coming to share some thoughts with our ministry leaders.
Thanks, John. It goes both ways, believe me.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, now that the mutual admiration is done, let's talk about what we have coming up, because, you know, as we look at leading ministries right now, we just know that it's been a difficult season. And now that we've, by and large, kind of moved past the difficult season of COVID, we now are leading out of COVID, and things are going to look different. Ministries got to look different moving forward. And so I've just been fascinated in some of the conversations that we've had with the discussions you've had with ministry leaders now, some of their experiences through COVID, and then what they think it might look like moving forward. So what are some of those thoughts that you've been bumping up against as you've talked to ministry leaders across the country?
Well, you know, it really is interesting. And believe me, the things I'm going to share here and the things that Janet and I will share at Estes Park is not just across our country, but frankly, we've been around the world. You know, as you know, I'm with Missions Door. And, you know, so I'm finding these common kind of themes that are emerging. One is just this loneliness over the last couple of years. It's just legit. I mean, people have really sensed the aloneness, you know, there for a while. I mean, some people weren't even meeting. I can't remember about Colorado, but weren't even meeting as churches. And when they did meet, it was very restricted. People wearing masks, as you know. And as I talked to pastors, one of the things I hadn't even thought about, but how suspicious people became, because all you saw were their eyes. You know, you wondered what was really going on.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a strange, you know, kind of thing that was going on. Another thing is in different places, there were a huge number of people who just passed away. I just talked to a executive pastor of a church yesterday. They lost in the first year 50 people. They had 50 funerals that were related to COVID. Now, it was a large church.
Wow.
But I mean, that takes a toll. And then as a pastor or as a ministering couple, then you start losing your friends. And it's a very, very hard thing to process, you know. And so, you know, and we're on the other side. We got to be a little bit tougher, you know. We do funerals. We know what we know what we're doing, and so on. But that really took a bit of a toll, you know, for sure. And then the whole idea of we all know that we can't go back in ministry, and we know that things will never be the same. You know, that train has absolutely left the station. It'll never look the same. Ministry won't look the same. But there's some positive things that have come out of it too, coming out of COVID now. And I think most pastors and leaders have become more innovative. They have streamlined their programming because there for a couple of years they couldn't do all that they were doing before. And here's one thing, John, that I think is really huge. And Janet and I want to capitalize on this a little bit too. I think pastors and leaders have come to recognize what's really important. I think there's a busyness that comes with ministry. In fact, some people attach more value to busyness than even to results. It's kind of a strange thing. And I think people have come to realize, wait a minute, I've been spinning my wheels, I've been doing things, I've been busy, but I haven't really poured into those really important things. And I would say those important things have to do with your own spiritual life and your family, your spouse, your kids, your grandkids, and whatever. I think priorities have been rightly adjusted. And so now we're going to be moving into kind of a whole new post, COVID time. And I think new vision and new beginnings and freshness. I think people are charged up and excited, and I think ministries are going to explode again.
Wow. Well, it's really, really exciting. And there has been this kind of big reshuffling of priorities and even hopefully more and more approaches to ministry.
Yes.
Because if we look at the world of 2019 and the world of 2022, they are vastly different. And we can't think that we can do ministry like we did in 2019. And especially, we can't do ministry in terms of that busyness. I love the quote from John Wooden, who said, never mistake activity for achievement. and there is this thought where, we keep this thing going and we see how many plates we can keep spinning on poles, and it's not going to be effective moving forward.
Yeah.
Partly because the same plates aren't there that we're used to.
Yeah.
And then secondly, because of some of the stress and struggle that we've all been through over the last couple of years, if we try to keep up that same mentality, man, we're just going to end up on the verge, if not past the verge, of burnout, which I know is something that's kind of dear to you in terms of your ministry now as you work with Mission Store.
Oh, yeah. Burnout is so huge. And it'll continue because if it's not COVID, it'll be something else. It'll be the present day economy right now and so on. But again, I'm really taking a bit of a positive bent to all of this, as hard as it is, and we've lost loved ones and so on. But you know what this has also done? This has been an equalizer to the big churches and the small churches, because we're not unique in that. I mean, most of the time there are all these huge differences, the way large churches do things and the way small churches. Everybody has had to become innovative. And some of these small church pastors, and they have become awesome at figuring out Facebook and all sorts of things. It's really been kind of cool, and so you have this camaraderie. Another thing, John, it's kind of, we can kind of look back and say, hey, do you know where you were when 9/11 happened? And just about everybody can say, well, yeah, I was doing this and so on. The same thing is true. Those of us who have survived these last 2 years, we have a common bond, maybe a common grief, but a common bond. And it kind of has brought the church together in a kind of a new way, a fresh way. So as hard as it's been and as much loss as people have experienced, I think that this is a new era that, with fresh glue. It's bringing, Venture Church Network. You may be even closer together, and so on. I'm just seeing that is universal, not just here in the United States, but even globally. I'm just seeing that's my observation anyway.
Yeah. And so as we think about moving forward now, we kind of have identified 3 areas of leadership, 3 areas of ministry. I think leadership's a better term here. Leading yourself, leading your family, and leading your ministry. And taking care of those 3 areas for moving forward and looking at those things maybe in fresh light. Have you had discussions with people about that? And how is that informing what you're going to share with us up at Estes Park?
You are so spot on, John. I mean, seriously, don't want to build you up too big here, but you're spot on. And part of the thing is so many of the pastors that I know and I love, the last thing of those 3 areas that get any hard work is usually yourself. And some of it is just the nature of the job, the nature of the ministry, and so on. God's called us to a great calling. But I'm a recipient of ministry burnout. And by the way, burnout doesn't happen because you're really busy. People don't understand that. Burnout happens because you're busy doing the wrong stuff. And when you're doing those wrong things, it begins to take a debt within your heart and your soul. We have very large work with on Sunday mornings 3 huge screens and a lot of activity and a lot of media and all that kind of stuff that goes along with it. So I always believed that I had to hit at least a triple or a home run every Sunday. So my study in my office reflected that, and I began to not be refreshed myself. I wouldn't even look at the Bible devotionally so much anymore because I just didn't have time for it. And it took such a toll that I literally burned out. And I'll tell a little bit of the story, when we get to Estes Park, not all of it, just a little bit of the story. But I'll tell you, I can still remember talking to the chairman of our board on a Sunday morning. We had multiple services before I went on the very first one. And I told him, I'm in trouble. I'm sure his first thought is, oh my goodness, what kind of sinful activity have you done? And I said, no, it's not there. I'm in trouble. I'm so burned out. And if something doesn't happen, I'm going to jump off a cliff. And I'll tell you, my chairman of the board was not touchy-feely like I am. My chairman of the board was very much a task master, brilliant at work and just a sharp Christian man, not very touchy-feely. He came up to me and he put his arms around me and just held me. It was the most cathartic, amazing moment in my life. And he said, you poured into us for a long time. Let us pour into you. And that moment changed the trajectory of my life. So when you say those 3 areas of personal, and then home and marriage and family, and then ministry, you couldn't be more spot on as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Well, I'm so thankful, Bob, that you and Janet are coming, because I know some of your story. I know some of your background. I know your zeal and your passion for ministry and communicating the word and caring for pastors. And so to be able to put those things together for our ministry leaders as we gather together in September, I think is going to be a really, really valuable time. So, Bob, I'm just super excited to have you all up and can't wait. And besides, I kind of like hanging out with you. And so it'll be good just to spend time with you up on the mountain and have you speak into my life once again.
Absolutely, John. Well, it's a privilege, and I look forward to it. I look forward to the time, brother. Thanks again, and thanks for the opportunity.
Oh, amen. So looking forward to it. So September 12th and 13th up on the mountain, Estes Park, YMCA of the Rockies. You can go to rmcn.org and register, find out more information. If you have any questions, you can contact me. Contact info's on the website. So Bob, thanks a ton.